He walked up the wall backwards while holding the grandmother's hand. He flipped over and landed on his feet. Those are words written in an official Department of Child Services report on a family who claimed to be possessed by demons. How could a 9-year-old boy walk up a wall backwards? That and other factors made this exorcism case international news when the Indianapolis Star newspaper released a story where more than a dozen interviews with DCS personnel, psychologists, and 3 different police departments spoke to the authenticity of these phenomena. In this video, I will share the details directly from the DCS and police reports, address the merits of what skeptics have said, and more. First, exorcisms have been sensationalized and led many to dismiss them. Dr. Gallagher is a board-certified psychiatrist, a psychoanalyst on the faculty of Columbia University, and a professor of psychiatry at New York Medical. He graduated from Princeton and had a psychiatry residency at Yale. He has this to say about exorcisms.
We all have to be open to considering that there's something more here. And if you just exclude all these people and say, well, they're all psychotic individuals or something, they're never going to get the help they need.
This man is endorsed by a past president of the American Psychiatric Association, and his words speak to the authenticity of demonic possession. Gallagher has spent 25 years assessing patients to rule out psychological disorders prior to recommending exorcisms. While these are real, exorcist Chad Ripperger says,
the number of people that actually come to us that actually are possessed, it's only 0.5%. So less than 1% of the people.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't mean they don't have other diabolic issues, but it's less.
So these are rare, but do happen, and this is a case where it is documented with nearly 800 pages of medical, psychological, and official records that the Indianapolis Star reviewed for their story. For a full overview, click the link here. After investigating the details of this case, the chief of police for the Hammond Police Department said this about the situation.
I went on the investigation, like I said at the very beginning, thinking that it was a hoax. The more investigation we did, I believe that there's something there. There's just too many people that I know who are truthful people that saw things, that some of them which I saw, to discount everything.
This started in April 2012 when Latoya Ammons and her 3 children, ages 12, 9, and 7, claimed to be possessed by demons. On April 19th, they went to their family physician and stated that the daughter levitated above the bed, that items were being thrown around in their house, and there were voices talking to the children. Their doctor said, "I was scared myself when I walked into the room." Medical staff witnessed the 7-year-old who was lifted and thrown into the wall with nobody touching him. He passed out, 911 was called, and they were taken to the Gary Methodist Hospital campus. DCS Family Case Manager Valerie Washington was assigned to the investigation. The official DCS report states that later that evening, the 9-year-old walked up the wall backwards while holding the grandmother's hand, and he never let go. He flipped over and landed on his feet in front of the grandmother and sat down in the chair. On her report it says, "I affirm under the penalties for perjury that the foregoing representations are true." The penalty for perjury is jail time, so this speaks to the authenticity of this occurrence. Years later, her account is consistent.
When he did walk up the wall before my eyes, he could not remember doing it 5 minutes afterwards. We had no words to explain it because we didn't understand it either. I worked as a child fatality worker. I investigated children dying. I've seen children in various situations burned, beaten, but after that it was traumatic.
Some skeptics like Joe Nickel have said that because the grandmother was holding onto his hand, it was possible to walk up the wall backwards. However, I spoke with an engineering professor from Penn State who, using a free body diagram, looked at the forces involved. Depending on the angle, it would require the grandma to exert over 200 newtons of force. However, a study showed that females' maximum standing push force is only 140 newtons, so this points to the supernatural nature of this. Another witness, registered nurse Willie Lee Walker, confirmed he walked up the wall, flipped over her. There's no way he could have done that. They then told the attending doctor, who didn't believe them. Dr. Richardson asked the boy to walk up the wall again. The boy said, "I did not walk up a wall. I cannot walk up a wall." The police asked if the boy ran up the wall as an acrobatic trick. She affirmed no. Less than 24 hours later, her 3 kids were taken into DCS custody. It is noteworthy that her report was dated April 23, 2012, so she had written and signed these details within 4 days of their occurrence. Many at the hospital thought that rather than demons, Ammons could have a mental illness. However, after several psychological evaluations, she was determined to be of sound mind and did not seem to be experiencing symptoms of psychosis or thought disorder. The same was true of the children. No disorders were discovered. As a result of this, a hospital chaplain called Father Michael Maginot and asked him to perform an exorcism. The priest first wanted to rule out natural causes and visited Ammons at the house on April 22nd. Ammons complained about having a headache, and Father Maginot said she convulsed when he placed a crucifix against her head. This is also documented in the Lake County Police report. Other phenomena happened, and after a 4-hour interview, he thought an exorcism may be needed. A few days later, DCS and police officers from the Lake County, Gary, and Hammond police departments visited the house. There were odd occurrences when they visited, which Chief Miller referred to at the beginning of the video, and more detail can be seen in the report. On May 10th, Father Maginot performed a minor exorcism on Ammons at the house.
Exorcizo te umbendissimi.
On May 15th, he was informed that she was not getting better, so a major exorcism would be needed. Major exorcisms require permission from the bishop, and permission was obtained. Maginot performed 3 major exorcisms, the last in June 2012, at St. Stephen Martyr Catholic Church. 2 police officers were present in case Ammons needed to be restrained. These major exorcisms were effective as no demonic activity was documented in the family after the exorcisms. She regained custody of her children in November, over 6 months after they were removed. In summary, we have a chief of police for 23 years, a DCS case manager, an RN, and several other police officers who attest to the reality of these occurrences. From the DCS documentation provided, the many psychological evaluations that yielded no disorders, and the police investigations that found no natural explanations, it is clear that the series of exorcisms made a difference. Add to that a Yale-trained psychologist who has worked on exorcisms with various faiths for over 25 years. These all point to the demonic influence involved in this situation. Please like and share this video because we live in a time where people do not believe that demons exist, and this is important for them to hear. Now, a crucial question to ask is, could she have made this up? Let's look at the situation. She lost her 3 kids for over 6 months. What mother would continue being a part of a lie if that was a consequence? Also, the story was not made public until January of 2014. That means for over a year she had limited attention from the news. I could see if someone made this up and was in the news every day, but that was not the case here. Looking at this from a logical perspective, one may wonder, if only the mother underwent an exorcism, but the children did not, aren't they still possessed? I consulted with exorcist Father Chad Ripperger, who stated there are cases where the possession is in either the parent or building, and the other people around experience a temporary possession. Once the possessed person is liberated, or the building is cleaned out, the temporary possession is stopped. As a result, LaToya's successful exorcisms led to the liberation of the children. His book Dominion addresses many items that may be beneficial for you, and I would recommend it. Now, while the evidence and witnesses speak to the authenticity of this demonic influence, there are 2 items documented that I disagree with. The first is that there was an alleged figure in the photo. Skeptic Joe Nichols said, "The Hammond police chief assured me it was not an official police photo." I agree with him here, and photos can be edited, so this is something I do not believe. Second, one of the officers had an audio recording where an unknown voice appeared to whisper, "Hey." After listening to it, I believe this could be explained naturally. The intent of this video is to point to a documented case of exorcism and how there can be things that are overblown, but others that cannot be explained naturally. I only bring this to your attention for you to understand that angels and demons do exist and are present in a battle around us. As a warning, it is easy to fall into the trap of focusing on the fear caused by demons. However, God is most powerful, and his love for us is unfathomable. Any questions or discussions on this topic should only be examined insofar as they lead one closer to Christ. Also, a warning for parents. Clinical psychologist Stacy Wright said, when she evaluated the children, it appeared to be a sad case of a child who has been induced into a delusional system perpetuated by his mother and potentially reinforced. This is why I would encourage parents of young children to not expose them to dramatizations of exorcism or talk in excess about the demonic. Childlike innocence is so beautiful, and you want to keep that as long as possible. Finally, there is a documentary on the situation titled Demon House. The movie provides more of the details that I passed over, so to learn more, feel free to watch it, but keep in mind that some of the details were over-dramatized. Have a blessed day, and God love you.